Today I have with me Ann Southern Farrell, and she's with Family Resource Home Care, and she's going to tell us the ins and outs about home care, how it's different from other types of senior care, and how it can help you and your senior, your loved one. So, Ann, thank you for coming today.
Thank you, Beth, for having me. I really appreciate it.
So my first question is very basic. What is home care?
Awesome. Well, thank you for asking, because so many people get it confused because there's other terminologies out there that are very similar and they get them very confused. And a lot of times even the medical professionals get them confused. So what home care is non-medical. So we have home care providers that actually come into your home, wherever that might be. It might be in a freestanding home, it might be an apartment, a condo, a manufactured home, in a community like assisted living, memory care, anything like that, and they will come in and help you out with what you need help with in making sure that you're living comfortably. And what that might look like is you might need help with like housekeeping, you might need help with cooking, you might need help with getting dressed in the morning, or bathing, help with grocery shopping if you're not driving anymore, or you had a procedure that prevents you from driving. You can go ahead and they can take you to your doctor's appointments, go grocery shopping, go to your favorite restaurant. They can be your companion. They can help you with anything that you need help with, laundry, things like that.
Okay. So then non-medical. So then is that the main difference, or what is the difference between home health and home care? Because I know I get those two confused because they sound so similar. So
Yes.
what is the difference?
What is the difference? Well, let me give you the nuts and bolts of what home health looks like. That is where medical professionals actually come into your home and help you out. So let's say your mom had surgery and she had her knee replaced and she's wanting to go home to recover and not to a rehabilitation center. What that would look like is she'd be going home. The doctor would then write a prescription just like for medication, and usually it's for 30 days. Medicare covers it.
Okay.
And then you'd get physical therapy, occupational therapy, possibly speech therapy. You could have nurses come into the home to help maybe with wound care and things like that. It may include bath aids depending on the home care agency, the home health agency. And all home health agencies look a little different. Some home health agencies might have hospice as well as a separate entity inside of their home health. Some may not. So it's really good to call around and find out what fits your needs. And like I said, home health is paid for by Medicare, but there has to be a prescription, and it only lasts so many days, and then there has to be another one. The purpose of home health is to rehab and get you off of it, so that you're back to your regular daily life.
Okay. Home health is medical and temporary. Home care
Can be as
is
little
ongoing.
Yes, it could be as little or as much as you want. So it could be used during that rehab time along with home health. They work together. So the home health might only be in there 2 to 3 times a week, where home care could be in there daily, could be an hourly, could be 24/7. It's all what your needs are and what your family might need to help out with your care during that time. Or if you don't have a surgery, but you're aging in place, and you don't want to move into a community where it's assisted living, but you want to age in place, that's where the home care would come in there. And they would then, like I said, anywhere from an hour all the way to 24/7, they could be with you depending on your needs. But when you look at the payer source for home care, it's not paid for Medicare or by any insurance agency out there.
What are the options for payment?
So when we look at payment, it's usually private pay.
Okay.
There is long-term care insurance, depending on the policy. We'll
So
pay for
would
it.
work for home. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then also, if you're eligible for certain VA benefits, the VA will cover you. And in the case that you are part of the Medicaid system, certain home care companies will take on Medicaid patients as well.
Okay. So you mentioned hospice with home health.
Yes.
Can home care help with hospice?
Yes, and that's a misnomer a lot of people have, is that once you're on hospice, that you're going to have a hospice nurse in there 24/7, and that's not the case. Usually it's 2 to 3 times a week. It's for medication management, It's for just to make you comfortable. Sometimes they'll have bath aids, sometimes they won't, but the bath aid might only be there 2 to 3 times a week, where you might need help. You know, you may not have family members in the area or able to help you with your daily living, you know, making your meals for you, maybe getting up and wanting to go someplace, driving, because you can't do that on hospice. And so that's where home care comes in. We work with them. And once again, hospice, if you qualify for it, it is also paid for by Medicare.
Okay. Your company specifically,
Yes.
what geographic location do you help with?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we are Washington State's largest private home care company. We are not considered a franchise. We are privately owned. We have branches from Bellingham down to Vancouver, Washington, Kitsap Peninsula, all the way over to the Grays Harbor area, and then all over eastern Washington. We also cover areas of Oregon and some Idaho areas as well. So we have branches in every single county just about in western Washington.
You have quite a big footprint.
Yes, we do.
Big shoes.
So with that being said, we also try to make it boutique to each county, because they do have a branch, so we're not spreading ourselves too thin. Every branch is ran separately on its own, but we have best practices that come down, so we all practice the same best practices.
When someone is working with you, do they always have the same provider that comes into the home?
We try to do that as best we can. The more hours a client has, the more likelihood they will have a caregiver that will be the
Dedicated
same.
to them.
Yes. The less hours, it's harder because the caregivers want more hours, and they like consistency. So when you only have 1 to 2, maybe 3 hours a day, you might get several different caregivers, because caregivers like to go with the longer hours and the consistency of it.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah.
What is the minimum? You mentioned an hour. Like, is there a minimum?
Every company is different.
Okay.
So that was something I would really suggest the client going out and looking at each different company separately. For our particular company, we have no minimums except for a 2-hour at one-time visit, meaning you could do 2 hours once a week.
Okay.
Okay, some companies have weekly minimums, some have, it just all depends. I've heard as much as 4 to 6 hours minimum in one visit, where 2 hours. But you also keep in mind, when you go down to the lesser hours, it goes up a little bit in price. At 4 hours and up, it's a real stable price throughout the entire time. And the price also depends on the level of care that you need.
Is there a price range that you're able to share for a smaller visit versus a longer visit?
Yeah, I just saw a price sheet recently for the 2025 year of local home care companies, and when you go down to 1 to 2 hours, it's $50 plus per hour, but when you get up to 4 hours and more, it goes down into the $40 to $50 range. But like I said, it all depends on the level of care. So if somebody's totally bed bound and they need 2-person, as far as being able to move, and they need 2 people assist, that's going to be a little bit more than somebody who just needs companionship and to be driven around. That's going to be a lot less in price.
If a family member was able to help with lifting, is that something that's permitted, or is that?
Yeah, it is permitted. Yes,
Okay.
after we do a little bit of education to the family's part, so that they make sure that they're transferring in a very safe way.
What makes Family Resource Home Care
Yeah.
different from other companies?
Well, we've been around a very long time, over 30 years. We started out as family owned when we were much smaller, and as we've grown now we're privately owned. And like I said, we're not franchised, so you're not getting a disjointed care from one franchise to another franchise. Like I said, we have best practices that come down from corporate all the way down to each individual branch, all the way down to our caregivers. So we have the continuity of care that you're going to expect from one branch to another branch if you were to move your loved one from one area to another. We have a wonderful reputation in the community. Being here so long, we're also known to actually be able to staff pretty quickly once we get the assessment done. We're known for our assessments. We spend 1.5 to 2 hours with the client going over their attributes, what their likes and their dislikes aren't. It's totally free of charge. We don't have a contract. So that means for the client, if they were to decide, I'm really feeling much better and I really don't think I need my caregiver anymore, all we need is a 24-hour notice and we can quit services, and there's no fine or fee to them whatsoever. It's non-contractual. If the client was to land in the hospital, by chance, but they still want to be a client and they're less than 24-hour notice, we don't charge them for that either.
There needs to be a pause in service.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they can't help it if they have an accident, they fall and they end up in the ED. So we are just a little bit different that way with no contracts.
So the company has been around for 30 years. How long have you been working?
Yeah, so I've been in healthcare itself for over 25 years.
Okay.
In the capacity of a regional business development manager, family resource, I've been almost 2 years now, and I love working with the seniors. This is, it's been, as I've gotten older, my priorities have changed, and my job actually really has a lot of meaning besides the bottom line. I'm actually helping people. And not only are we helping our clients live and age in place, but we're also helping the population of caregivers who might be a little bit on the lower end, and helping them with jobs and resources for them. And my company is wonderful as far as the benefits they give to the caregivers, which are so important.
Yeah, and you didn't mention it, but you're also helping the families of the seniors, taking so much of the burden off of them, so they can go and visit and love on their loved one without necessarily having the tasks and the chores, and have that visit less of a visit.
Absolutely. I don't know how many times I've heard the daughters say, "Oh, I've got this 24/7, no problem."
But is that the best?
And the burnout that they have is just amazing, because it is overwhelming, especially when you're very close to your mom or dad or your loved one that you're caring for, and you might have signs and symptoms of dementia and the different behaviors that come along with this. So sometimes it's better to have an outside source come in,
because it's emotional and it's sensitive and it's hard.
Yeah, it is very hard. Yeah, and I've been a caregiver to a parent in the past, and I know exactly where they are and what they need. And sometimes you just need a break just to get out and a walk and a breath.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Get out with your girlfriends. Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I think this has been really informative and helpful, and I hope that we have shed a little bit more light. So thank you.